Hang on to your butts, everybody. It's that time of year again because NVIDIA has just launched their brand new sweet spot GPU, the GTX 960. And being the GPU whore that I am, you had to know this video was coming. With its improved radiator support and legendary noise optimization, the new Define R5 from Fractal Design is a PC builder's dream come true. Click the link in the description to learn more. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start this video out with an apology. That's because there's about to be a few GTX 970 reviews on this channel over the next week or two. Now, this is the first time in the history of my channel that we are going to be taking a look at more than one of the new cards at the time of launch, covering several brand new offerings from what is sure to be a very popular card. But now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Now, first up in this gauntlet of GPU reviews is Gigabyte's G1 Gaming, the 960 G1 Gaming. Actually, my bad, that's the 970. This is the G1 Gaming 960. Yeah, as you may have noticed by now, they have the exact same cooler as their bigger brothers, the 970 and the 980. Now, Gigabyte has been taking a lot of time and giving special attention and detail to their mid-range cards, the same attention to detail as they give their flagship cards like the 970 and 980, but at a much lower price point. Now, it features the same triple fan cooler with a metal shroud, glowing LED fans with its four 6mm copper heat pipes able to dissipate up to 300 watts of heat. Now, did I also mention that it has a backplate? And still one of the sexiest backplates on the market, I might add. Now, one of the major benefits of Maxwell-based GPUs is their incredible power to performance ratio, making the core arguably the most power efficient and coolest GPU chips that NVIDIA has ever produced. And because of this advancement in technology, companies have been really promoting fanless performance in many lower demanding games, allowing for completely silent operation, and the 960 is absolutely no exception. Now, on the G1 Gaming cooler, the fans will not even start to spin until the GPU reaches 62 degrees Celsius or the GPU reaches 60 watts of draw. Okay, enough about the cooler. We know about the cooler. The cooler's not new. Just tell us about the specs of the 960. I hear you. All right, well, the GTX 960 G1 Gaming has 1024 CUDA cores running at 1304 megahertz, which is a bump over the reference clock of 1178, 128-bit memory bus with 7010 megahertz GDDR5 effective memory speed, and a 6-phase power delivery system with dual 6-pin PCIe connectors, which is again a bump over the reference 3-phase power design and single 6-pin power requirement. Now, I can already hear some grumbling.
128-bit memory bus? What?
And trust me, I thought the same exact thing when I had my meeting with NVIDIA. Why the 128-bit? But apparently with their revamped memory subsystem, the GPU can more effectively or more efficiently utilize the memory bandwidth for an effective 9.3 gigabits per second via that 120-bit bus. Now, lastly, the 960 features some amazing options with 3 DisplayPort 1.2, a DVI-I, a DVI-D, and an HDMI 2.0 port for 4K at 60 Hz. Perfect for the home theater PC. Now, that pretty much covers it for the overview. Last thing I want to mention, though, is that Gigabyte highly touts their GPU gauntlet sorting. Basically, it's a GPU bidding process that guarantees higher overclocks and an excellent thermal efficiency. Yeah, a company that actually guarantees higher overclocks over their non-G1 gaming line of GPUs. And you know, there is only one way that we can test that claim. We're going to play some games. We're going to blow some shit up while getting to the chopper. All right, sorry about that.
Transition.
Now, before we talk about the numbers, let's first talk about where the card is placed in the market and the proper expectation. First, this is a sweet spot card. Well, what the hell is a sweet spot card? Valve did a hardware poll on the data collected from all of their users, and they found that the number 1 and 2 most used cards were the 60 series GPUs like the 660, 760, and they also found that the 660 is the most commonly used card amongst MOBA games like League of Legends, Dota 2, Heroes of New Earth, and 2 out of 3 users of that genre were using a 660 or older. Now personally, I feel that this card is also aimed right at the 1080p gamer, especially those playing AAA titles like Far Cry, Battlefield 4, upcoming games like Evolve, GTA 5, and this is why I only tested the card at 1080p in the benchmark. Testing at any higher resolutions would have been testing the card outside of the performance target of the GPU. Now one other thing to mention is I test all of my cards overclocked. Now this is my stance on this. It's free performance and everyone should be overclocking, especially on cards like the G1. It's built for overclocking. Now Gigabyte advertised a boost clock of 1304, but I noticed that I actually boosted all the way up to 1392 without even touching MSI Afterburner. Now this got me excited, obviously because it meant that the power target and the thermals were obviously in check. So I wanted to know how much we could really squeeze out of this card. Well, I'm happy to report that the card managed an impressive 1,527 megahertz stable. And I guess it's not really all that impressive though, or surprising, since the 970 and the 980 often are capable of 15 megahertz and beyond, or 1500 megahertz, wow, 15 megahertz. Now this is the thing, this thing overclocked to 1527 megahertz and the memory overclocked to 7600, and I ran my usual gauntlet of testing synthetic benchmarks, some older titles, some newer titles, and I'm very pleased with the price to performance ratio, especially the average in FPS, as every game was at least 60 FPS and temps never exceeded 59 degrees Celsius in my open air test bench. I expect that the case with proper air cooling would see similar results. Now, I actually ran the fan on a pretty standard profile. I don't like that whole leave the fans off thing. So I just let them run at about 30%, and it actually went up to 37% to maintain that temperature in the 59 degrees Celsius range. In fact, we are running right now, though, fully overclocked here with the fans running their basic profile on Haven benchmark, and we are seeing 66 degrees Celsius. So that's still very, very impressive while overclocked. Now the G1 Gaming at the time of filming this video is sitting right at $229. And if there is any takeaway from this video, let it be this. Pay attention. With mid-range cards like the 960 offering all of the same features as the big brother like DSR, MFAA, supporting more and more titles, amazing overclocking, low temperature, low power requirements, and DirectX 12 support, competition between Team Green and Team Red in 2015 is gonna be good. So there you go, guys. The GTX 960 G1 Gaming from Gigabyte is definitely worth taking a look at if you're shopping for a new graphics card. Now, Gigabyte actually launched 3 new 960 cards, including a small form factor ITX size card, which is a trend we have been seeing a lot more of. And like I mentioned, I will be taking a look at several brands of this card in the very near future. So I hope you guys have 960 fever. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, and I will see you in the next video. Well, hopefully you guys come back. That'd be good.